Okay. Great. We'll get started. So, hi everyone. I am Tarodima. You've probably spoken to me at some point. Thank you all for joining. This is our second phase of growing this list of slurs that some of you are aware of. Some of you have actually helped us in developing the lexicon. But we'll give a quick overview of how we've gotten to this point. Right. Just as housekeeping, I've already said this once. We are recording this call. It is in English just because there are a lot of us who speak a lot of different languages, but I think English might be is likely to be the one that's most is the one that's common between all of us. And it's yeah, I think the other two languages I speak might not be spoken by everyone else. Um, Okay, so to give you an overview of what Uli is, if you haven't heard me say this already, Uli is both a project, right? It's the name of the project, and it's also the name of the browser plugin that we started in 2021 with the goal of denormalizing the everyday violence that people of marginalized genders experience in India. The plugin itself aims to provide different features, different tools for reducing the effect, reducing the fatigue of online gender based violence, but also to provide resources for collective response. We started this work in 2021 with CIS. Through 2021 and 2022, we did focus group discussions and interviews with over 25 activists and researchers who have studied issues of marginalization of gender in India. Um, we just recently released the data set that we created from that work, but one of the things we also did was we crowdsourced a list of 400 words in Hindi, Tamil, and Indian English. This is, to our knowledge, one of the largest lexicons of or largest list of words in these languages. And in 2023, yeah, Danny, the next slide. What we have done is we've actually taken all the feedback that we got through 2022, but tried to work in a very concerted fashion with 4 organizations. I think there are people from all those organizations here. So Nazaria Feminism in India, Khabar Lahari and Point of View. So 2 organizations are actually helping us improve the redaction feature, and 2 organizations are helping us grow the slur list. Separately, what we're also trying to understand is how should we value contributions, because actually I'll get to this at the end as well. All the work so far, as we will be doing it in this exercise as well, is it's all crowdsourced. But there is a big component of trying to understand what happens when there's what happens when a big company, for example, wants to use these lists. Danny, next slide, please. Okay, so we'll quickly just show you what the plugin does right now. Yeah, Danny is actually showing you.
Yeah, so I'll
yeah,
go through some of it.
yeah.
Like I'll do a quick demo. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you go to the Oli websites, there's a handy link that leads you to the respective browser store from where you can install the plugin. Right now I have it installed, so I can just quickly show you what it looks like when you have it installed. There is a control panel at the top from where you can configure Uli. Right now, it is configured to enable slur replacement, which means that anytime as it's supposed to work is that anytime you're on your browser you encounter one of the slurs from the slur list, it filters it out or like blacks it out. So for example, this is the plugin working on Wikipedia. So if there's a word that's matching a word in the slur list, it will have like a patch on it like this. Similarly, you see it working on the Times of India website and some I think there was a Daily Motion. Yeah. So here you can see this. This is here. It's blurring out a slur word that is in Hindi, and the other ones that you saw was in English. When we started out, we had a special focus on Twitter, just because that was the first platform we chose to. So Twitter, the plugin has slightly more interesting features on Twitter. So for example, you can actually for every tweet when it detects a slur word, you can actually hide and unhide it. And you can also take a screenshot like as a way to archive the instance of abuse fully. Then what is it? Something specific I should show?
Yeah, I think just so this is what we were working on in 2021. What Point of View and Nazaria have also helped us do is add a feature to Uli through which you can crowdsource slurs, or you
Yeah.
can actually add
Yeah.
slurs within the plugin itself. So then, if you can just quickly
Yeah. Yeah.
show that option, and then we
Yeah.
move on. Yeah.
Yeah, so the version of the plugin that I saw you showed you right now, it basically looks at the slur list that's automatic that already is fed in Oli and removes slurs from the from your feed. But the idea this year was that like as you are browsing the internet and come across a particular slur that you want to add to Oli slur list, it's just a matter of selecting that word and right clicking on it and then doing add to Uli. So when you do this, it basically sends the word to Uli, and you can actually see your contributions in this tab here. It also we also give you the option to add these metadata in along with the slur to basically enable for further use cases for the slur list.
So this metadata is actually what we'll get into in a lot of detail in just a bit. Um, I'll yeah, let me sort of get into why we are even emphasizing on this slur list. So this entire feature that Danny's just shown you of tweets being redacted or sort of certain words being redacted on websites relies on something called the the Uli slur list, which is what I was mentioning earlier was a list of 450 words that we had crowdsourced from activists and annotators. Um, Now, why do these slur lists matter? Um, of course, it matters to Uli, but the slur list in and of itself is a very useful resource for any trust and safety work on a platform, right? So when you think about, how would a platform understand that there is someone is being targeted or there is hate speech against this person of a specific identity group, they do rely on these lists, which we know from reporting and from admissions by platforms that we don't have these lists in Indian languages. It's also become increasingly important with AI because whether it's your LLMs, etc., like the same logic with platforms also extends to AI, and these lists are becoming even more important. Interestingly, Instagram had this hidden words feature, similar to the Uri word redaction feature, which is that in your DMs you could choose to not see certain problematic words, and so we actually there's an easy way for you to actually also use the Uri list and just feed it to your Instagram sort of hidden words under your list of hidden words, so that all the words that are on the Uri list also are hidden for you on your Instagram DMs. Um, but the point being that these slur lists are, we've shared these slur lists with researchers. Anyone who wants to actually do research in Indic languages on hate speech or problematic content online actually needs something like the slur list. Okay, so coming to the 16 days. The 16 days of activism, it's now, I think, it started in 1991, if I remember this correctly, from a convening which was saying that we need to have a campaign to highlight violence against women. The 16 days of activism starts on 25th November to 10th December. It's a period to sort of do a lot of coordinated work and highlight a problem that we face throughout the year, but just to bring attention to it. So while for us, we think of 16 days of activism as something that is for all people of all genders. And since our work is around tech tools, we actually want to use this period to generate some of these lists that help us understand what is happening in online spaces. So it's just a very concerted way of building this list. Of course, you can keep adding to these lists through the year, but we know from prior experience that actually adding to the slow list is a very exhausting, draining job. Often, what makes it worthwhile is that people are doing it together, and I think time boxing it makes it more manageable and less sort of daunting as well. Okay. So, what are we looking for in these 16 days? So, we're looking for two things. We want the list to grow. Currently, it's in 3 languages, but we want it to grow to multiple languages. We also want to add context to the words that are currently on the list. So, at present, the Uli slur list is just a list of words, but Denny actually showed you the the metadata that you can now add to the slur list, through the Uli plugin itself, right? And so this is the kind of information that a lot of people told us is necessary when you look at a word, such as has the word been reclaimed or not? Is the word used between friends or not? And if it is used casually, then perhaps it's not as problematic, and it should not be redacted or sort of acted upon as strongly as, say, another word that is, a sort of coded language or a derogatory slur. And so those are the two additions that we are hoping to get through these 16 days. You can add words, you can add context. Both those additions are welcome. Um, and how we are going to generate or collect contributions is through a Google Sheet. We did consider using other tools, but Google Sheets seems to be the one that is most accessible. Everyone is familiar with it. There isn't too much of a sort of learning curve, so we didn't want to introduce any new tools. You can also contribute using the Uli plugin, but because there is already an existing list of 450 words where there's a lot of information that needs to be added, we felt that doing it through a Google Sheet would be easier for people. Whereas the Uli plugin allows you to add words as you encounter them online in context. Right now, we're trying to retrospectively or add words to add context to the words that were generated in the past. I will quickly just demo how you can use the spreadsheet. So, Danny, I'm going to take over control from you.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what the spreadsheet looks like. These are all the words that are currently on the slur list. So now we have these columns that we would like you to label, right? So there's this question that says, what is the level of severity of this word? What we're trying to understand is, how serious or how sort of grave is the insult when it is directed at someone. For example, there are certain words. Again, on this call, I'm going to avoid using expletive words, but there are certain words that are used between friends, and they might not feel as sort of horrific as some of the other ones. We know that there's a lot of subjectivity in this question, but we've kept it as a way of, for now, just to get a subjective sense of how everyone thinks about a certain word, right? There is no right answer at all.
Tarunima,
Yeah.
there's an audience question.
Yes.
Hi, Tarunima. First of all, congratulations. I'm sorry I joined about 7 minutes late, so maybe I missed some initial context.
Yeah.
I think this
Not
has come out very well, and many of the things that we discussed during the annotation process seem to have, been incorporated into the design. I just wanted to ask two questions. So for this, sorry, what I will be annotating, for example, level of severity, casual, etc. Can this be overwritten because this is a shared document? This can be overwritten
Yeah.
by others, right?
So no, it won't be overwritten because we will be generating a separate sheet for every person. So I'll get into it in the subsequent slides, but no, it will not. Every person is
Alright.
going to work on
Yeah.
their own sheet. Yeah, yeah.
Got it. Sorry, so I missed it
Yeah.
probably because I joined
No,
late.
you didn't. We
Secondly,
haven't covered it yet. I was going to cover it later.
okay,
So this is a very legitimate question. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
are there any misspellings on the left side, like, or is it like as it appears on the sheet? That's how we are. So, for example, number 4, like, is there a misspelling,
Yeah.
or are we supposed to treat it like?
So actually, like if you see it's lines 11 to row 11 to 16, right?
Yeah,
All of these are spelling alterations of the same word. We actually at this stage want people to add all of these words, and so even different spelling alterations will be in there in the list. If you haven't encountered a word, if you've never encountered this misspelling, I would say just ignore it. So this is, this misspelling is for someone who has actually encountered the word.
Okay. So we are
Right,
supposed to treat whatever appears on the left as it is, right? So
Yes, yes, exactly.
Okay, got
Treat
it.
everything that's on the left as it is. Exactly.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So there is level of severity. That is whether this word is casually used or not. There's again, this is a question which is linked to level of severity. We are asking a question of whether the word has been appropriated or not. So, for example, a lot of words have been reclaimed by a community, but then there are also words that have sort of not been reclaimed, but they've been casually used by, say a comedy group. So the example being cutie upper, right? Like that's one word that has not been that's been appropriated in a loosely speaking appropriated, but not by someone in the community. Then there is this question of what makes the word problematic, right? So this is just a free flowing text feed where you can, add whatever you know about the context. So, for example, there are certain words that, um, we don't know are explicitly casteist, but they are in their origin. And so if you have that specialized knowledge, please add it because it becomes a useful way of informing others why you should not use that word. And then there is this there are these four rows for categories. So we understand that every word can address many different category different identity types, right? Every word can be used to target any identity type, but what we really want to focus on here is what is the identity that is sort of identified in the word itself. So for example, certain words are have a sexual connotation. Certain words are slurs or have become slurs because they refer to a certain community, right? And so we want you to pick the at most four categories or identities that are surfaced in the word. You don't have to pick all four. It can be, you can pick one or two, yeah, but up to four. On
There's another audience question.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, hi, this is Shyam. And thanks, Tarunima. We just talked yesterday, and thanks for inviting me, and congrats on all the work. The what makes it problematic plus categorization. I wonder, is there an option to kind of like declare some sort of personality, because it's going to become a little tricky on who decides whether it's problematic on for whom, right? Especially because I research on caste in AI, and I'm very aware of saying making it a truthism, but it may not necessarily apply in other situations. How do we capture that? This may not we may not have an answer right now, but something to think about.
Yeah, I would say at this stage, even if you say, what is your position, right? What is your positionality for annotating this word? I think that position means that you have certain knowledge on why this word is problematic in certain contexts. And so, even if that is a context that is not visible to the majority population, but it's something that is visible to or that affects a small group of people, I think that's very important to capture. So, unless you feel like your position makes you acutely sensitive to, like you as an individual acutely sensitive to certain words, in which case I think it makes sense to declare that position. I think if it's more that the position makes you acutely sensitive to how it's used for a specific group of people, however small that is, I think that should be written in the text field or in the categories. Shav, did that help at all? Yeah. Okay.
Yes, it did help. It adds nuance to something that's difficult to navigate. Thank you.
Right. Also, we expect that the reason why we have these fields is because we actually want variable, or like we want as much diversity in these words as possible. So there are words that I did not know that in certain regions, it's used in a certain way. Also, like within dialects, the meaning of these words changes, and so we expect disagreement in the annotations. Like there is no, like I said earlier, there's no like one right answer because that's just how complex language is. So I've already sort of walked you all through the fields, but there is a guideline that where we've described all of these these columns, and you can refer to it. And you can also ask us questions if there are any. So specifically where we've said what makes a word problematic, makes the word problematic, we have given certain cues on, how you can think about like factors that contribute to a word being problematic. The other thing that we, like I said, we would love is additions on new words. If you want to add new words to the list, just add a row at the end. That's all the easiest thing, right? So wait, I'm now on what number? Yeah, so you can just add the word if you have metadata for it, add metadata for it. Otherwise, just you can also just add a word and leave it there, right? And we'll collect all the additions and aggregate them. Okay, I am going to stop sharing so then you can go back to the slides.
Yeah, this is.
Yeah. Okay. As Danny is doing that, specifically, we've had some questions around what are the words that you can add to this list. Right now, the list contains words from Hindi, Tamil, Indian English, and I think there might be some sort of overlap between other languages. But any word in any Indic language is welcome. Spelling alterations of words that are on the list right now are also welcome. I would say don't censor at this stage. While we are exploring automated ways of capturing spelling variations, we think that some of them are non-trivial and over-inclusion at this stage is good. Okay, so yeah, I've already walked you all through how to add the metadata. And
is it a good time to take a question? Just because it looks
yeah,
like...
yeah.
Shaila has a question.
Yeah.
Hi, sorry to interrupt again.
No,
I
please.
was waiting for if you would cover it. In the column that pertains to what makes it abusive or what makes it problematic. So aside from the 4 columns, we can also add it's like an others column, right?
Yes, there is an others column actually.
So what makes it problematic? The response is in the 4 categories, or if I don't find the response there, then I just put it in the column. What is that, column H or what?
No. Okay, so what makes it problematic? Sorry.
What do I put under column F?
Yeah, what makes it problematic is, I realize I wasn't very clear. What makes it problematic is a text field. And so you can just write text, like this word is problematic because, and then when you go, and then when you go on categories, that's a separate question. So GHIJ, right? Like there you just have to select the identity. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
And all questions, sorry, please.
Go ahead, what do you think?
I would say all questions are optional, though we would highly sort of nudge and recommend
complete.
Complete and at least column F. Yeah, at least column F. That would be good, yeah.
Yeah. So in fact, that was one of the questions. Like, for example, I was just seeing like a cursory look over the sheet. Like some of the words I just don't know, so I just leave it there, right?
Yeah. So again, we don't expect anyone to go through the entire 450 words, right? It's more like the words that you know well. So, for example, like the word fat is on that list, right? But I know a lot of people have wondered like why that word is on that list. So if that word doesn't appear problematic to you, just skip it. So it's only like the word that you know that, and you know why it has been or it's used to target. Like I think those are the words that you should annotate.
I have a more operative
ways to contribute to this during the 16 days, right? So you can either contribute sort of as an individual contributor, doing it asynchronously at your own time, or you can contribute in one of the group sessions because we've realized that these different modes work for different people. So let me go into first what the asynchronous lone wolf model is, right? So the Google Sheet that I've shown you, right? You just, I can quickly share my screen and show you how to do this. It's also on the, we have documentation on the wiki as well. So we'll share all these links at the end of the slide. It'll be in the video as well. So you make a copy of this sheet. right? When you make a copy, it'll basically have in the title, it'll say something like copy of Slur metadata annotation. You can rename it, right? So I can rename it to say,
my copy of Slur metadata.
So I'm going to rename it to say Tarunima, right? So metadata annotation. I'm going to make a few edits, and then I'm just for speed, and then I have to share it with the Tattle team, right? So the email ID for that is, can someone say it out, please, for me?
Tattle Civic Tech.
Yeah, right. So it's tattlecivictech@gmail.com, and you just share it. And so what happens is that when you share it, this is how everyone's sheet remains with themselves, so no one can overwrite your sheet. When you do it asynchronously and share it, only we have the access to that sheet. But when we so that's mode number one. And so if you want to share this exercise with any of your friends, you can just share this sheet along with the documentation, and they can make additions and share their sheet with us. And then we will aggregate it and put it on GitHub at the end. The other mode is what we're saying is the group mode. So we're doing 4 1-hour sessions. There's a Tuesday 6 p.m. session, Thursday 6 p.m. session. So next Tuesday and next Thursday there'll be a 1-hour session. And there's a doodle link. Denny, if you can share the slide. So there's a doodle link where you can pick if you want to join one or more of those sessions. And in that session, we will create a Google sheet. We will share a Google sheet with you. And there, because the idea is that it's a group session, that's going to be a more social session where you can actually talk to other people on the call and discuss the words and say why something may or may not be problematic, and make your entries separately. And there, because it's going to be a small group and that Google Sheet will only be with a small group, we will be able to track who has made what entry and make sure that there are no overrides. So yes, those are the 2 modes through which you can contribute. Yes, the next slide, Denny, is on data licensing. So currently, the entire Slur list is under an open database license. So all of you can use it. All the data that is collected through the 16 days will also be under an open data license. One of the things we are aware of is that we are doing work that is helpful for platforms and their trust and safety teams, even as platforms are sort of reducing the investment in trust and safety by killing certain roles and reducing funding in that sector. So I think we are just cognizant of the fact that this is free labor, which lands up benefiting platforms, and we want to understand if there are and also that this work is harrowing, right? Like I mean, we know this now from a year plus of having done it, that it is very exhausting. People feel really dejected at the end of it. So for both of those reasons, we are trying to explore if there are better models. And maybe that is, differential licensing. Maybe it means that there's staggered, some of the data is closed. All of those are considerations. We might have spoken to some of you about it. But at this stage, everything that happens during the 16 days will be under an open license. Shall I see? Actually, I think we're at the end of it. Just one question that I had for all of us is that because we know that there are issues that happen, people have a lot of questions around this this annotation guideline, etc. We were considering whether we should create a signal group, or where everyone can just ask, if they have any issues, or if you also just want to discuss a word and say like, what does this mean? Just with if in the chat, can people like express a yes or a no, whether they're okay with a signal or a WhatsApp group, and we'll close the WhatsApp group at the end of the 16 days. So that's a question for everyone here. There's just silence.
I think email it.
You want us to write in the chat or like?
Oh no, just if it's okay or if it's of interest, basically, not the numbers.
Yeah, signal is okay.
Yeah. Okay. What about the others? If there's any hesitation, there's always an email, right?
Yeah.
But would it also help you to have Signal?
I would say Signal on a pilot basis, because if it like gets too much and people just, on the chat, I think people are writing Signal. But
Yeah.
I think if it, after a while, it loses utility or something, people just get overburdened, then it will itself.
Yeah. The idea would be to, close it after the 16 days. So by like 14th, 15th December, 10th is when it ends. We'll, maybe do a final update on the 16th or the 20th, and we'll definitely close it before this year ends. I would also want one lesser group in my life. Okay, so we'll share the Signal group. We'll see how it goes. But you always have the email to reach out to us for any questions. I understand this was a very detailed, like sort of heavy 40 minutes, but I will pause and see, if people have more questions. All of you, I see a lot of folks from our partner orgs. Thank you for joining, but any questions specifically? Okay. Well, I guess we can wrap. we wrapped it fairly quickly. I thought this was going to take very long, but this has been quite short actually. So this is nice.
Should we link the wiki? I think it kind of captures everything you spoke in the talk, right?
It does. I will. Yeah, I can share the wiki here, but I'll also make sure that everyone who's on this call, I'll email you. You all already have. I actually have emailed most of you the wiki, but yeah, just give me 1 second. I'll link the wiki here. The wiki has all the documentation and
mainly all the procedural things also. I think.
Yeah. But this is just the beginning, and so we will send you an email as well, and have all these links on an email and in the description of the video. Okay, we can wrap early then. Thank you. Thanks everyone. We will see